Wood Sr. from West Des Moines, Iowa, number 22, Caitlin Clark.
The atmosphere inside the arena felt unreal long before the game even started. More than 56,000 fans at the stadium hoping to witness something special from Caitlin Clark. By the end of the night, they witnessed history. From warm-ups alone, the energy surrounding Caitlin looked different. Fans screamed every time she touched the basketball. Phones filled the air trying to capture even simple practice shots. And commentators kept repeating the same thing throughout pregame coverage. This feels bigger than basketball. The crowd looked enormous, louder than normal, more emotional than usual. And once the game tipped off, Caitlin immediately showed everyone why. Right from the opening quarter, she played with complete confidence. Deep three-pointers, perfect passes through impossible traffic, fearless drives into defenders. Everything about her performance carried superstar energy from the very beginning. Meanwhile, opposing defenders looked overwhelmed trying to slow her down. They picked her up near half-court, they trapped aggressively, they switched defenders constantly. None of it mattered. Because every time pressure increased, Caitlin somehow looked even more dangerous. Then came the moment fans inside the arena started realizing they might be witnessing something historic. Late in the second quarter, Caitlin launched a ridiculous three from several feet behind the line while defenders closed hard. The crowd erupted before the ball even reached the basket. Swish! Absolute chaos exploded throughout the stadium. Fans jumped out of their seats screaming. Commentators completely lost control live on air, and replay angles instantly giant arena screens while social media exploded online. The deeper the game, the more unstoppable Caitlin became. She controlled everything. The pace, the emotion, the momentum. Every possession seemed to run directly through her. Then the assists started piling up. One no-look pass stunned commentators so badly they replayed it multiple times immediately. Another fast break dime sent the crowd into total disbelief, and every teammate around Caitlin suddenly looked more dangerous because of the attention she attracted defensively. That combination made the performance feel impossible to stop. Meanwhile, inside the arena kept standing during possessions, because they sensed history approaching. Children wearing Caitlin jerseys screamed her name nonstop. Phones stayed raised, and every huge reactions loud enough to shake the building. Then came the fourth quarter. That's when the night officially transformed from incredible to legendary. Caitlin already had massive scoring numbers. The assists kept climbing, and suddenly commentators realized the rebounds were stacking up too. That realization changed the entire atmosphere instantly. The crowd began tracking every statistic in real time. Arena screens flashed updated numbers after every possession, and social media users started posting triple-double alerts across the internet. The pressure became enormous, but Caitlin never looked nervous. If anything, she appeared calmer the bigger the moment became. That confidence stunned everyone watching. Then came another impossible sequence. Caitlin grabbed a huge rebound in traffic before sprinting the ball up the court herself and firing a perfect assist leading to an easy basket. The crowd exploded. Commentators shouted over each other. Teammates celebrated wildly. And suddenly the entire arena realized history was only moments away. Then it finally happened. After securing another key rebound late in the game, Caitlin officially completed one of the most unbelievable triple-doubles fans had ever witnessed. 34 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. Historic. The stadium erupted into total madness. Fans screamed nonstop. Teammates surrounded Caitlin immediately, and haters called it one of the greatest performances women's basketball had seen in years. But perhaps the craziest part of all, Caitlin Clark somehow made it look effortless. As the crowd continued roaring after Caitlin Clark officially secured the historic triple-double, the atmosphere inside the stadium somehow became even louder, because fans realized they were not simply watching a great performance anymore. They were watching a moment that would be replayed for years. 34 points, rebounds, 10 assists, in front of more than 56,000 screaming fans. The numbers alone sounded unbelievable, but the energy surrounding the performance made it feel even bigger. Meanwhile, commentators struggled finding words to describe what they had witnessed. One analyst laughed during the broadcast and admitted, "We're running out of ways to describe her greatness." The clip instantly spread online. Because honestly, fans everywhere felt the same way. Every game seemed to produce another impossible moment. Another sold-out crowd. Another performance that pushed Caitlin Clark deeper into basketball history. And tonight may have been her biggest statement yet. The replay angles from throughout the game started flooding social media. The deep logo threes, the impossible no-look assists, the clutch rebounds in traffic. Every highlight looked dramatic. But one particular sequence completely broke the internet. Late in the fourth quarter, Caitlin crossed half-court, while defenders pressured aggressively near the logo. Fans immediately stood up in anticipation. Then, without hesitation, she launched another ridiculous three from deep. Swish. The reaction inside the stadium sounded deafening. Fans threw their hands into the air screaming while commentators completely lost their minds on the broadcast. One camera angle from behind the basket captured thousands of people already celebrating before the ball even dropped through the net. That clip instantly went viral. Because moments like that no longer felt surprising when Caitlin played. They felt expected. That expectation alone showed how extraordinary her rise had become. Meanwhile, opposing players looked visibly frustrated trying to stop her. Double teams failed. Defensive traps failed. And every time the pressure increased, Caitlin somehow responded with even bigger plays. That confidence terrified defenses. It came another emotional moment that spread quickly online. After securing the rebound that officially completed her triple-double, Caitlin briefly looked toward the crowd. Fans erupted around her. The smile on her face looked genuine, almost overwhelmed by the moment itself. That reaction touched fans everywhere. Because despite all the records, all the attention, and all the non-stop headlines surrounding her, Caitlin still played with visible passion and emotion every single night. That authenticity became one of the biggest reasons supporters connected with her so deeply. Then analysts began discussing something much larger than one historic game: legacy. What kind of legacy was Caitlin Clark building already? Some commentators argued she had become the most important figure women's basketball had seen in years. Others believed her impact now stretched far beyond sports itself. The conversation sounded enormous. And after watching her dominate in front of 50,000 fans under unbelievable pressure, it became difficult to disagree. Caitlin Clark no longer looked like just another superstar athlete. She looked like the center of a movement transforming women's basketball in must-watch entertainment. A movement inspiring millions of young athletes around the world. And a movement making impossible performances feel normal every time she stepped onto the court. Then one longtime broadcaster said something near the end of the game that instantly exploded online. "She's not chasing history anymore," he explained. "She's creating a completely new standard." After another legendary triple-double performance from Caitlin Clark, the entire basketball world started believing exactly the same thing. By the time the game finally ended, fans inside the stadium still refused to leave their seats. More than 56,000 people remained standing, cheering loudly for Caitlin Clark after witnessing one of the most unforgettable performances of the entire season. The atmosphere felt emotional. Phones filled the air trying to capture one last moment. Children screamed Caitlin's name from the stands. And commentators continued replaying her biggest highlights while sounding completely stunned by what they had just watched. Because honestly, the performance barely looked real. 30 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, against intense defensive pressure, in front of one of the largest crowds women's basketball had ever seen. And somehow, Caitlin controlled the entire game from start to finish. Meanwhile, social media completely exploded after the final buzzer. Sports pages posted highlight after highlight, reaction videos flooded timelines, and fans everywhere called the performance one of the triple-doubles in recent basketball history. The deeper people looked at the numbers, the crazier they seemed. It was not only the scoring, or the passing, or the rebounding, it was the timing of every play. Whenever momentum started shifting, Caitlin answered immediately. A deep three, a perfect assist, a huge rebound in traffic. Every moment felt cinematic. Then another replay angle from courtside started spreading online that perfectly captured the emotional energy inside the arena. The footage showed thousands of fans standing before Caitlin released one of her deep fourth-quarter threes. The crowd already believed the shot was going in, and when it splashed through the net, The reaction looked almost like a championship celebration. That clip instantly went viral, because moments like that explained why Caitlin Clark had become one of the biggest stars in sports. She created belief. Fans expected greatness every time she touched the basketball, and somehow, she kept exceeding even those impossible expectations. Then analysts began discussing another incredible reality. Caitlin's historic triple-double performance did not simply dominate basketball headlines. It dominated all of sports. Television networks interrupted programming to discuss the game. Athletes from other leagues reacted online, and celebrities reposted clips from the performance across social media. The attention felt massive. Meanwhile, Caitlin herself remained surprisingly calm after the game. During post-game interviews, she focused more on her teammates and the win than the historic statistics surrounding her performance. That humility instantly earned even more respect from fans. Because despite becoming one of the most recognizable athletes in the country, Caitlin still carried herself like a player completely obsessed with competition first. That mentality separated her from ordinary superstars. Then one former player said something during post-game coverage that instantly spread everywhere online. "She's making impossible performances feel routine," he explained. The quote exploded on social media, because deep down, fans realized that was exactly what made Caitlin Clark feel different. The unbelievable no longer felt shocking anymore, it felt expected. That reality changed everything around women's basketball. The arenas became louder, the spotlight became bigger, and moments that once felt historic suddenly started happening regularly whenever Caitlin stepped onto the court. Then came perhaps the most emotional realization of all. Years from now, fans may not remember every score from this season, but they will absolutely remember the night Caitlin Clark stunned 56,000 fans with one of the greatest triple-double performances women's basketball had ever seen. Because performances like this do not simply entertain people, they become history. And as highlights from the historic performance continued spreading across the internet overnight, one thing impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark was no longer simply dominating basketball games. She was completely redefining what women's basketball could look and feel like on the biggest stage. Because nights like this changed everything. 56,000 fans inside one stadium, millions more watching clips online, sports media everywhere leading with Caitlin Clark headlines. That level of attention once seemed impossible for women's basketball. Now it felt normal whenever Caitlin played. Meanwhile, analysts continued breaking down just how extraordinary the triple-double truly was. 34 points while facing non-stop defensive pressure, 11 rebounds against bigger players fighting inside, 10 assists while controlling the pace of the entire game. Every category told a different story. And together, they created one of the most complete performances fans had seen in years. Then another behind-the-scenes clip from the arena started going viral online. It showed young fans waiting near the tunnel after the game hoping for autographs while chanting Caitlin's name repeatedly. Some children looked emotional simply watching her walk past. The reaction felt powerful. Because for many people, Caitlin Clark represented something larger than basketball itself. She represented inspiration, confidence, fearlessness, the belief that women's sports could command massive attention and create unforgettable moments on the same level as any major sporting event in the world. That influence mattered just as much as the statistics. Then commentators began discussing how rare it is for one athlete to completely transform the emotional energy surrounding an entire sport. The sold-out arenas, the television ratings, the non-stop viral highlights. Everything around women's basketball suddenly felt bigger because of Caitlin's presence. That level of impact felt historic. Then one longtime broadcaster made a statement during late-night coverage that instantly exploded online. "She's not just playing basketball anymore," he explained. "She's building a movement." Fans everywhere shared the clip. Because after watching Caitlin dominate in front of 56,000 screaming fans while the historic triple-double, many people realized the statement felt completely true. This was bigger than one game. Much bigger. Meanwhile, replay angles continued full media all night long. The impossible logo threes, the perfect no-look assists, the emotional crowd eruptions after every huge play. Every moment looked cinematic. And perhaps the most incredible part, Cade never appeared overwhelmed by any of it. The bigger the spotlight became, the calmer she looked. That mentality separated her from ordinary stars. Then one emotional scene after the game perfectly captured what this moment truly meant. As arena workers began cleaning the stands, thousands of fans still remained inside taking photos of the court where Caitlin had just delivered history. Nobody wanted to leave, because deep down everyone understood they had witnessed something special, not just a great basketball performance. A defining sports moment, the kind of moment fans tell stories about years later, the kind of performance that inspires future generations, and the kind of night that permanently becomes part of basketball history. After another unforgettable performance from Caitlin Clark, one reality became clearer than ever. The Caitlin Clark era is no longer the future of basketball, it is happening right now. By the next morning, highlights from Caitlin Clark's historic 34-point triple-double had completely taken over the sports world. Every major sports network led with her performance. Social media timelines flooded with replay clips, and fans everywhere kept asking the same question. Have we ever seen anything like this before? Because the deeper analysts looked at the game, the more unbelievable it became. The scoring was explosive. The passing looked elite. The rebounding effort shocked people. And somehow, Caitlin controlled the emotional energy of the entire arena at the same time. That combination felt rare even among legends. Meanwhile, commentators continued discussing the incredible pressure surrounding the performance. More than 56,000 fans filled the stadium, millions watched online, and every possession carried enormous expectations. Yet Caitlin never looked nervous for a single second. If anything, the spotlight seemed to make her stronger. That confidence became one of the biggest reasons fans connected with her so deeply. She played fearless basketball, no hesitation, no fear of failure, no fear of big moments, and nights like this turned ordinary games into historic events. Then another courtside video from the game exploded online. The footage captured the exact moment Caitlin completed the triple-double late in the fourth quarter. The crowd reaction sounded deafening. Fans jumped out of their seats screaming, while teammates celebrated wildly around her. Even commentators briefly stopped talking because the atmosphere inside the arena became so loud. That clip instantly became one of the most replayed basketball videos of the season. Because moments like that now represented something much larger than statistics. They represented change in attention, change in popularity, and change in how people viewed women's basketball worldwide. Then analysts started comparing Caitlin's impact to some of the most transformational athletes in sports history. Not only because of the records, but because of the emotional connection she created with fans, the sold-out crowds, the non-stop viral moments, the excitement every time she crossed half court. Everything surrounding Caitlin Clark felt massive now. Meanwhile, children across the country copied her deep shooting range on playground courts, while fans rushed online to buy jerseys immediately after the game ended. The influence looked enormous. Then one former player said something during a morning sports show that instantly spread across social media. "She's making people fall in love with basketball again," he explained. The quote exploded online, because after watching Caitlin Clark dominate in front of 56,000 and screaming fans, while delivering one of the greatest triple-doubles of the year, many viewers realized the statement felt completely true. She brought excitement, emotion, and unpredictability back into every possession. Fans no longer watched casually when Caitlin played. They watched expecting history. And somehow, she continued delivering exactly that. Then came perhaps the biggest realization of all. This performance was not simply another great night in Caitlin Clark's career. It became another defining chapter in the story of how one player transformed women's basketball into one of the biggest attractions in sports. And after another unforgettable performance under unbelievable pressure, one thing became impossible to deny. Caitlin Clark is not chasing greatness anymore. She is already becoming the standard future generations will be compared against. And as debates around Caitlin Clark's historic triple-double continued dominating sports media, one reality became clearer than ever. What fans witnessed in front of 56,000 people was not just another superstar performance. It felt like a defining moment for the future of basketball itself. Because performances like this do more than fill stat sheets. They change perception. For years, women's basketball fought for bigger audiences, larger stages, and greater national attention. Now suddenly, sold-out crowds, non-stop lines, and viral basketball moments felt normal whenever Caitlin stepped onto the court. That transformation already looked historic. Meanwhile, replay clips from the game continued spreading at unbelievable speed online. The impossible logo threes, the perfect cross-court assists, the emotional reactions from fans after every huge play. Every angle looked cinematic. And perhaps the craziest part? The pressure surrounding the game only seemed to fuel Caitlin even more. 56,000 screaming fans. National attention everywhere. Defenders trapping aggressively from half-court. Players would feel overwhelmed in that environment. Caitlin looked completely comfortable. That fearlessness separated her from ordinary stars. Then another emotional video from after the game started going viral online. It showed young fans outside the arena chanting Caitlin's name while holding signs asking for autographs. Some children stayed long after the game ended, simply hoping to see her one more time before leaving. The emotion in the crowd looked powerful, because for many fans, Caitlin Clark represented possibility. The possibility that women's basketball could become one of the biggest entertainment products in sports. The possibility that future generations would grow up playing in front of enormous crowds too. And the possibility that impossible moments could happen every single night. That belief changed everything. Then commentators began discussing how rare it is for one player to completely shift the emotional energy surrounding an entire sport. The television ratings, the sold-out arenas, the viral social media reactions. Everything around women's basketball suddenly operated at a different level now. And Caitlin stood directly at the center of it all. Then one respected broadcaster made a statement during late-night coverage that instantly exploded across social media. "She's not asking people to pay attention anymore," he explained. "She's making it impossible not to." Fans everywhere posted the quote. Because after another legendary performance from Caitlin Clark, many viewers realized it perfectly captured her impact. The sports world no longer viewed women's basketball as something secondary when Caitlin played. It became must-watch entertainment. Then came perhaps the most emotional realization of all. Years from now, future players make records. New stars will emerge, and new historic performances will happen. But fans will still remember nights like this. The atmosphere, the energy, the impossible shots, and the feeling of watching Caitlin Clark completely control a stadium filled with 56,000 screaming people. Those moments become larger than sports. They become history. And after another unforgettable triple-double performance, one thing became impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark is not simply part of basketball's future anymore. She is already changing its entire story. And now the entire basketball world is asking the same question. Was this the greatest performance of Caitlin Clark's career so far? 34 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, in front of 56,000 screaming fans. Another historic night that completely shook sports world. But now we want to hear from you. Where does this triple-double rank among the best performances you've ever seen? Is Caitlin Clark already changing basketball history? And do you think anyone in women's basketball can stop her right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because with Caitlin Clark, every game feels one moment away from history.